India-Nepal border, the bond of Roti-Beti and China strategy. Just imagine. A border that for centuries was never seen as a wall but as a bridge, where people from villages on both sides moved freely into each other's homes, where relationships of marriage and family ties were as natural as between next-door neighbors. Now, suddenly, on that very border, disputes and walls of mistrust begin to rise. This is exactly what's happening along the India-Nepal border. The relationship once celebrated as the Roti-Beti ka rishta, a bond of shared food and intermarriage, is today facing tensions, political maneuvering, and the shadow of external powers. Villagers who for generations visited each other without restrictions are now looking across the border with fear and suspicion. The question is, what lies behind Nepal's changing stance? Why has it started raising issues that were never contentious for decades? Is this truly Nepal's independent position? Or is there a larger shadow at play? Could it be the influence of China, whose growing presence in the region is reshaping old friendships and testing trust? Today, we'll dive deep into this matter. But before we begin, if you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe so you always get updates on our latest videos first. Now, let's start this discussion without any further delay. The relationship between India and Nepal is considered one of the most unique in the world. It is not tied merely by diplomatic or economic agreements, but by kinship, language, culture, and shared history. Think about it. Countless Nepali families have sons married to daughters from Indian villages, and many Indian daughters have crossed into Nepal as brides, becoming part of its culture. This is why the bond is called the Roti-Beti ka rishta, a relationship of shared food and shared family ties. In the small towns along the India-Nepal border, ordinary people often say, "We are one family." People can cross into each other's villages without passports or visas. Festivals, weddings, and even times of grief bring both sides together as if no border exists at all. This is why, standing at the India-Nepal border, it often doesn't feel like to separate nations. But in recent years, the warmth of this relationship has begun to feel a cold draft. Take the recent example of Lipulekh. This place is not just a mountain pass. It has for centuries been a route of trade and connection. Since 1907, trade has continued between India and China through this pass. The caravans passing through carried not just goods, but also cultures, traditions, and stories across borders. But after COVID and some geopolitical events, this trade halted. Now, as India and China decided to reopen trade through this route, the very next day Nepal staked its claim, saying Lipulekh belongs to them. The question is, why did Nepal, which had remained silent for decades, suddenly raise this issue? Is it a sudden awakening of national sentiment? Or is it the result of a larger strategy by another powerful country working in the background? In reality, this story is not just about Nepal's stubbornness. It is about the schemes and manipulations of China standing behind it. China has never truly treated its neighbors as trustworthy friends. Its history is full of deceit and expansionism. In 2020, Nepal released a new map that did not just include Lipulekh, but also Kalapani and Limpiadhura as part of its territory. This move seemed less about Nepal's domestic needs and more like a step taken at China's behest. India immediately objected and made it clear that, historically, culturally, and strategically, these regions belong to India. Especially Kalapani, where after the 1962 war, India deployed its paramilitary forces to monitor every move of China from the high ground. But what exactly does China want? China's aim is to keep India distracted at every point from where it can keep an eye on Beijing's movements. Kalapani, at an altitude of nearly 20,000 feet, offers surveillance over the entire surrounding region. India's strong position here makes China uneasy. Beijing knows that a direct confrontation with India would be risky, so instead it uses smaller but strategically important neighbors like Nepal as pawns in its game of chess. The leftist political forces active in Nepal have often become those pawns, moving as per China's signals. For India, this is not just an emotional matter, it is a question of security and strategy. The India-Nepal border is completely open. Millions of Nepalese work, study, and live in India, contributing to its economy and treating this land as their own. Similarly, Indians conduct business and travel freely in Nepal. This openness has always kept trust between the two countries strong. But when Nepal begins to echo China's voice, that trust starts to weaken. And this crack is not just a political dispute. It can seep into the hearts of people on both sides of the border. Just imagine, people in Nepal's villages still watch Indian TV channels, hum Hindi songs, buy goods from Indian markets, and send their children to study in India. They celebrate India's victories in cricket, admire Bollywood actors as their own, and share countless cultural bonds. Yet, their government leans toward China, risking hostility with India. This contradiction is not merely politics. It is part of the larger game China plays with cunning precision. On one side, China talks trade with India, while on the other, it whispers into Nepal's ears that India is stealing what rightfully belongs to them. History bears witness, China has never truly made friends with any nation. Be it Sri Lanka, Pakistan, or African countries, its strategy has been the same. First offer loans, investments, and promises of friendship, and then quietly take control of their land and resources. Sri Lanka's Hambantota port is the clearest example of this debt-trap diplomacy. Pakistan's economy, too, is now staggering under China's weight. Nepal must realize that it is being drawn into the same trap. And if Nepal damages its relationship with India, the greatest loss will ultimately be Nepal's. The India-Nepal relationship is centuries old. It is not built only on shared borders, but on the tradition of Roti-Beti ties of food and marriage. There are countless families where relationships stretch across borders. Daughters from Nepal married into Indian homes, and Indian brides crossing into Nepal. Festivals like Dussehra, Holi, Tej, and Chhath are celebrated with equal enthusiasm in both nations, with families visiting each other across the border. This bond is truly unique, and to sacrifice it at the altar of politics would be an injustice to the people of both countries. But the real question is, will the people of Nepal recognize this truth? Will they realize that behind China's temptations and promises lies nothing but self-interest? China has no genuine concern for Nepal's prosperity or its independence. Its only interest is in keeping Nepal as a tool to trouble India. If Nepal fails to see through this game, it will end up harming itself more than anyone else, like striking its own foot with an axe. India, on the other hand, has always stood by Nepal like an elder brother. In every moment of crisis, India has been the first to extend help, be it the 2015 earthquake, when Indian rescue teams reached first, or during the pandemic, when medicines and vaccines arrived in Nepal ahead of any other aid. But now the time has come for Nepal to understand that its true safety lies in standing with India. If it continues to fall for China's manipulations, it will not only distance itself from India, but also risk losing its independent identity.
And if our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.